Well, guys, nope, it's not just me. I've got Igor joining me today. Alicia is getting ready to head off on a much-needed vacation, and actually I will be joining her immediately after the conclusion of our live Q&A today. But I am super delighted to have Igor Krylyuk, who is the newest immigration lawyer within Holthe Immigration Law. How you doing, immigration lawyer?
I'm doing good. Doing good, Mark. Thank you so much for introducing me and inviting me for this live Q&A today.
Yeah, you bet. So yeah, Igor's pinch hitting today, which is great. He'll also be covering for me and Alicia a little bit while we're gone. So if you have any, those of you who are our clients out there that are looking for a little bit of assistance, Igor will be here filling in pinch hitting for the rest of the week, and then I'll be back on Monday. I'm going to pick up my boys who are down at BYU, Idaho and Rexburg, Idaho. They're just finishing up school. They've got a 3 kind of trimester system at the school, so they can just have more kids go. So my kids go from January to the end of July, and then they come home. And it's going to be a short stay for them because they're planning on doing some summer sales, I think, to earn a little bit more money to help cover for university. So they're going to be making a quick turnaround. They'll come home here next week, and then they'll be heading back in September again. So we're only going to have them for about a month. So the Holthes are going to have some fun this summer. All right, let's see what we've got cooking here. We've got, actually, do you know what? Let's slide over. I want to show you guys something here. So if you go to our website right here now, and you go meet the team, you will see here that there is myself and Alicia, immigration lawyers, and you will see the man, the myth, the legend right here, Igor Krylyuk, immigration lawyer. So super, super proud of him. He worked tremendously hard. Anyone out there who's thinking, boy, I'll never be able to make it through and become the professional that I was in my home country. Well, just look at this man right here who worked unbelievably hard and succeeded. So we are so proud of him, so excited. All right, let's see who we've got here in our little live stream here this morning. We've got Calra, who is here, and we've got Nash, who's up in, let's find Nash here, up in Red Deer. And those of you who are new to the live stream, we love to have you guys post where you're tuning in from. So please do that. It usually takes a little while for this to get stretched out to all the various social media platforms that we broadcast to. A lot of folks tune in on YouTube, which is totally fine, but we had quite a few in my live that I did yesterday with Josh. I always pronounce his name. Shacknow. Yes, Shacknow. And I'll share this with you. So I did a live with him yesterday on artificial intelligence. Will it replace immigration lawyers? So if you haven't watched that one, head on over there and watch it. It's a great live stream that I did. And Josh and I, we chatted just about the future of immigration and whether it'll replace lawyers and consultants. And yeah, it was really, really fun. And we're both heavily invested in artificial intelligence. And within the firm, we're actively working at some really cool things to help us really 10x what we can do. Because you think about it, we are 3 immigration lawyers and Prem's our support. Everything else is technology. Everything else is systems, processes. And we don't use paralegals or assistants. We literally connect with you directly within our firm. And that's how we want it. But now with the utilization of artificial intelligence and just doing some pretty significant training and developing with our unique knowledge and data, we're hoping that we can really 10x the services that we offer. But anyways, let's see what we've got here for people tuning in. Let's see, we've got Kahir, who's over in Edmonton. We've got Kirushika, who is in Toronto. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see. Yeah, we've got a pretty good group of people are here. All right, Igor. So what's new in the Krylyuk household? Anything new and exciting?
Well, first of all, yes, I've got cold, so that was probably the biggest news. Another good news is another change.
Sorry,
can you hear me?
Looks like your connection is just a little bit soft today. So we'll try one more time and see if it worked out. So sorry, what was that last thing that you said?
Yeah, my mom got married this week, which is super exciting.
That's
Now her
really
last name
cool.
is different from mine. I'm gonna keep my old last name, but
Yes.
for the time being, yes. We'll have to adjust to her new last name, so I have to call her differently now. So that's a big update in the family as well. But other than that, I think yeah, we just all enjoy summer and try to take this time to maximize the productivity in the firm. We have a couple of developments that we're not ready to share yet, but they're pretty significant. And I
Mhm.
think one of the changes, not changes, but the projects that we might want to announce right now, Mark, is that Express Entry 101 webinar that we'll be hosting on July 30th. So I think
That
it's the
is
right time
right.
to start promoting that.
That is. Yes. Yep. And do you want to talk just a little bit about it, Igor?
Yeah. So essentially, what we're realizing is that many people come to these live Q&As who have some background in Express Entry, who know about the process, the program, the common mistakes, and overall getting from A to Z, right? But then many people don't know anything about Express Entry. All they know is that one day they would want to come to Canada. So this Unlock Canada Express Entry 101 webinar is targeted specifically to people who just want to get an overall comprehensive understanding of how Express Entry works. So it's a free webinar that we will host at 5 p.m. on July 30th. So all you have to do is just click the link, and we'll add the link here in the description. And I will also try to post it in the comments as well during this live stream. All you have to do is just register for the webinar, and then yeah, and then you can attend. And it's going to have the Q&A session at the end of the webinar, but mostly it's going to be an explanation of how the whole system works and what you have to be aware of.
You bet. And I'll just fill in here too, you guys. You can see here when you register, we try to distinguish, are you an individual or are you an immigration consultant? Because we provide a lot of support actually to immigration consultants. We're doing more and more appeal work now in the federal court. And so this helps us to kind of bucket people in the right location when we are reaching out to them. So yeah, we're super excited about this new little venture because like Igor said, traditionally we've really targeted, DIYers like you that are, further advanced and really have a little bit more basic information, basic understanding of how Express Entry works. And although this is Express Entry 101, the reality is we will be covering really as much detail as people want within the webinar. There'll be a Q&A associated with it. And I'm really, really looking forward to doing this. And it's just another mechanism for us to provide more assistance and really focus and our attention on the thing that we love to do most, which is Express Entry. And we've seen over the last little while, Igor, that there's been some pretty significant rounds of invitations. And so if we slide back here to the government website and we look at these rounds of invitations, you can see the last one that occurred was about a week ago, 1800, once again, French language. But we know that there's a lot of you out there who fell within the CEC draw, which is, if you look historically, 6,300 invitations issued, and the lowest score was still 515. It's super competitive, you guys. Express Entry is really almost an elite program. And if you look overall, let's just we'll just hit this a couple times. If you look overall, there's only been a few draws. There was a string of no programs specified back in 2023, back to back, where they invited a whole bunch. We've had a 7,000 French. And then, of course, those of you who've been around for a while, remember over 3 years ago, we had that large February 13th, 27,332 invitations issued that dropped the CRS down to 75, which basically meant everybody that was a CEC was drawn. Well, this is pretty amazing because this is quite historic. July 17th, 1 week ago, 6,300 at a 515 CRS score. So yeah, so there's a lot of people that are going through this process, and we know within the firm that a lot of people come, they connect with us. Usually lots of people will go straight to our Express Entry, our courses that we have. And those of you probably are aware that we've got the brand new 2024 Express Entry Accelerator that has over 10 hours of video lessons. And when we talk about this, Igor, a lot of the times people are like, wow, 10 hours, that's a long time. And I say to myself, are you kidding me? 10 hours is nothing when it comes to submitting a correct application. And I think some of the consultations that we do as a firm, when you go and you click on book a consult, the vast majority of consultations that we do are people that have run into problems with their application. So when you come and you book consults with Igor or myself or Alicia, the reality is most people book them when things go south, and the times are changing. Very rarely can we fix something that has been disastrously wrong. So when applications get returned because you've made a mistake, reconsideration is almost non-existent. And the reason that we have expanded, and if I go back to our firm website, if you go here, you'll see that we have a section on, refusals and delays right here specifically. And that section, we've got information on judicial reviews, we've got information on reconsideration requests, and on mandamus applications. And the reality is when a refusal occurs, there's a very, very short window of time to actually act on it and deal with it. And so as a firm, we're starting to do more and more of these because there's a need. And like we said with the Express Entry 101 webinar, we do quite a bit of work for immigration consultants. They book consults with us. We assist them when things go badly. And so it's so that's kind of how things are set up. But the world is changing, and the ability to just fix things is becoming less and less possible. And so when we are doing these kinds of things, we want to give you guys as much notification, as much information to prepare yourself so that you can avoid those most common mistakes. And that's another lead into another webinar that Igor and I are going to be running, which will be targeted to people and advising them on as of today, the most common reasons applications get rejected. So if you haven't had a chance, please slide over. And Igor, I don't know if we have it in the description, but I know you're going to post it into the comments.
So I posted the link in the comments. So take a look in the comments on YouTube. And then I've also updated the description under the video, so you can refresh the window and you'll see the link to the Express Entry 101 webinar.
Perfect. All right. Okay, let's jump in here, Igor, and let's start covering some questions that the viewers who are anxiously waiting to get them answered. All right, let's dive in. The first one. So this is from Nash. And for Alberta Opportunity stream, my job offer letter doesn't specify my duties or permanency. Can this information be included in my reference letter, considering my qualifying experience in the same role at the same company? I can tell you, Nash, that obviously anything that the AOS asks in the document checklist, and if we were to go to it, let me see if I can even pull it up here while we're let's see if I can pull it up, because they just instituted a new one. Let's just see here if I can find the checklist. Here it is. Okay, let me share with you. So when it comes to any checklist, no matter which type of application you are filing, it is absolutely critical, you guys, that you follow expressly exactly what they're asking for. Anytime you divert from what they're asking for, you open the door up for an officer to say, sorry, that's not good enough. And when we have 25,000 people applying for 400 spots like the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program is right now, you just don't have any room to make mistakes. So reference letters, you can see, must be on company letterhead, must include the following things for your proof of your work history, proof of your work experience. And when it comes to job offers, it's very clear here, must include job title, wages, duration of employment, working conditions, duties. And part of the reason they want to know the duties is they want to know exactly what occupation you will be filling for this employer. And job offers are future looking, whereas reference letters are describing what you've done in the past, your work experience. So it is important. And ultimately, if you're unable to, I'm not sure exactly what the reasons are why you're not able to get from your current employer, but I would seriously consider going back to your employer and getting it corrected if you have the opportunity. If you've already submitted your application, then I don't know what to tell you. Fingers crossed, maybe, I guess. But I'll give you an example with the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. There's a form, an attestation form, and an authorization form that they now have applicants sign. And in the course of that process, I was reviewing an application for a client. It was signed, dated, it was brand new, and I did not realize there was a little checkbox that was missed. The client got the application returned and was now back in the pool hoping to get another expression of interest, notification of interest under the human capital priority stream. So this is the volatility to this process. And, that's the first time that I've had anything like that happen in, I don't know, since I started the new version of Holthe Immigration Law in 2019. And it's devastating for myself, devastating for the client, all because of something as inconsequential. Now, we're still trying to work with the Ontario program to get the refusal overturned, but still, regardless, there's just no room for any error. So don't take any chances. Okay, next question is from Kirushika. She says, I think that's a she. Yes. She says, hello, Mark and Igor. Thank you for all the information. Received an ITA in CEC. Okay, that big draw. Does IRCC consider a year as the calendar work anniversary date, or as 52 weeks of 30 hours max experience as 1 year? Igor, I don't know if you want to try to tackle this one, but yeah, ultimately, I think that maybe you can just explain what constitutes a year of work experience for the purposes of CEC.
Yeah. So IRCC is counting 1 year of full-time work experience as 1,560 hours, right? And so when you go to and Mark, I don't know if I can actually share my screen here.
I've got it here, Igor.
But
so the CEC.
Yeah. So when you scroll down just a little bit, and you click on 1 year of skilled work experience, just a little bit below. Yeah, right there. And when you click on 1 year of skilled work experience, and we'll give you a little, no. So try just click on it with the left button. So it will pull up the pop-up.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So there they specify 30 hours per week for 12 months is equal to full-time, right? So they look at the number of weeks that you worked, the number of months, and the number of hours that you worked in a week. So it's always safer to proceed when you get 52 weeks or 12 months equivalent, and once you collect the 1,560 hours. So if you count 52 weeks, that's going to be the date of your anniversary before you can actually claim the work experience. We always, if we get clients who, let's say, started working on the 2nd of August 2023, we would not want to submit EAPR until August 2nd, 2024. So exactly 1 year after. So it's a little tricky as to how the officers would assess all of this. There's no clarity or explanation as to whether they would subtract like couple of days or add couple of days to round up your work experience, but just always it's better to proceed once you have a full year and you work at least 1,560 hours.
Perfect. All right, let's slide back here. Okay, if you have a question that you want to ask, I see that Inderjeet dropped a super chat here, but I didn't see your question. So if you're just saying thanks guys for a great job, well, I appreciate it. Otherwise, yeah, just feel free to post the question. We'll try to get to it, Inderjeet. Okay, let's keep zipping through here. So, okay, this one I'm not quite sure, Calra, if I know what you're asking here. How many days before I'm supposed to apply for my work permit extension as I've applied for my PR under RNIP? So ultimately, if you are looking to apply for your work permit extension and you need kind of a bridging option, well, you want to do it within 60 days of the expiry of your permit. Ultimately, it depends on what is, if you filed your PR, I don't know what stage, so maybe you can give us a little bit more information, Calra. Yeah, we always try to do things as early as possible. That's one of the key components to maintaining status, because you have other things that are affected by your status, like your health coverage, right? Your driver's licenses. So we never want to delay that extension process. Now, I'm not sure if you're waiting for an acknowledgement of receipt on the RNIP and then you're filing a bridging work permit, or what you mean by that, but maybe you can add a few more details. That would be helpful. Shoes here says, went for a TRV permit, maybe apply for a temporary resident visa, and I didn't mention my other citizenship. Is that a problem? So what do you think, Igor? If someone only lists one citizenship in their visitor visa application?
It is a problem. So when you submit an application, you acknowledge that you provided complete and truthful information. So whether the officer will find misrepresentation or not, it's really hard to predict. But in your situation, you would want to correct this and send them the web form and be truthful and say, this was an honest mistake. I forgot to mention my other citizenship, didn't try to hide it, and just beg for their mercy. Because if you get the TRV approved, that's good, right? But then if, let's say, you want to reapply, or you want to apply for permanent residency, or if things become known at a later stage, they can find misrepresentation. So very important that before you click the submit button, you double check everything, triple or 5 times. How many times it's needed, just to make sure that everything is properly disclosed. Same applies to pretty much anything with your immigration application. Previous refusals, we've seen so many situations when people forgot to mention their refusals and their applications was approved, right? But then let's say a client would forget to disclose a previous study permit refusal, would reapply 2 or 3 times, and each time would forget to disclose the refusal. Some clients don't even know that they have refusals. Like, their consultants would hide this information from them, and so they would not disclose it. And eventually their application is approved regardless, right? When it comes to applying for permanent residency, they realize, like, oh my God, it looks like I have a refusal that I forgot to disclose 2 or 3 times in the past. Well, in this situation, again, nothing is doomed per se right away, but you have to own it. You have to come forward and say, look, there was a clear mistake that I made. I'm really sorry about it. Just not trying to hide something from you. I just try to fix the issue. So disclose it. Disclose it. That's probably the best advice I can give you at this moment.
All right, let's jump here to, we've got Inderjeet's question here. So he got PR from India. Congratulations, that's great. He says, now I need guidance regarding the province I should settle if I do not have any personal choice. Suggest a province where jobs are more, living cost is less. I'm open to explore. I'll be honest, Inderjeet, like, I love Alberta. And if nothing else is triggering or driving you, you don't have family, or, and as far as employment, I'll be honest, I think Alberta is the best province in the country. If you're looking for cost of living, like BC and Ontario is, really, really difficult now to find a place to live, jobs, all those kinds of things. And there's no doubt that Alberta, just like other provinces, has so many people looking for permanent residence and so few spots within the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, the Alberta PNP. But that for permanent residents who have high human capital, you wouldn't have, gotten your PR without that. I love Alberta, and I will be a proponent of Alberta till the day I die, essentially. I think there's tons of opportunities here, and the things that you're looking for are here. I really do believe that. Okay, I want to pull up another question here. This one came from Nash again. And so Nash says, do you think there's a possibility of the AOS queue system being changed this year? Despite numerous criticisms, the government has not acknowledged any access concerns yet. Nash, I met with a group of, I think there were probably 7 or 8 other lawyers on Friday of last week with the heads of the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program to explain all of your concerns. So whether they haven't acknowledged your concerns directly, I relayed everything to them. we talked about the problems with the race to file in all its forms. The reality is when people are racing, they're going to submit crappy applications to start with, let alone the number of people that are being cut out, the people selling spots, all of that craziness. We relayed and explained to them. So they have time and they're considering options. At this stage, I think they're going to go to a points-based system, but they didn't confirm with me with any degree of certainty that they were actually going to move away from the race to file for the balance of this year. I would like to hope that they would, but at this stage, they're still building out a new model. So as it stands right now, the race to file is still there, but I've talked with them about a lot of different changes that they could make, including a weighted draw where people who don't get drawn on the first one, their chance of and tried to apply could then get an increased priority over people that are just applying for the first time. But ultimately, the program is a mess, and they know it, and we let them know about that. So any news, trust me, I'll let you know. But there was, a group of about 7 or 8 of us immigration lawyers in Alberta that were on that call with the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program. Okay, let's see. What do we got next here? Okay, this is the one. This one's a little bit more tricky, Igor. So, Elizino says, I got the notification of interest from the ONIP, Human Capital. CEC experience is not in my primary knock occupation, which got me my nomination in the first place. Do I still submit my Ontario application under CEC, even though this experience is not my primary knock? So this is a classic example, my friend, of where Igor and I would ring this bell right here and tell you, you really should book a consultation, because we need a whole lot more information to figure out exactly what's happened. I think I kind of have an idea, but whenever you say, what should I do? We encourage you strongly to book a consult so we can go through it in detail and really give you advice. I've got a visitor who keeps coming here. 1 second. Come on, let's go. Come here, Simba. I've got a visitor who's just bent on coming to visit. Come on. Keeps opening the door. Okay. Say hello to everybody. Yeah? You want to go in the window? He wants to go in the window. All right, we'll let him go in the window. There we go. Let some light in here. All right, we're back at it. Sorry for the little delay, but hey, this is real world, guys. This is how you do a live stream. Okay, let's hit on another one. Okay, this one is, well, we'll give a shout out to Javon, who's in Jamaica. Thanks for tuning in. We also have, Murad says, I got my permanent residence. Well, that's definitely worth some applause. Congratulations. That's fantastic. That's awesome. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, yes. Oh, and here's some more details. He says, thanks, Mark, for all. I received my PR confirmation. I'm willing to land. I wanted to know if I have to show my proof of funds at the airport. I always bring at least a bank statement or something like that to show proof of funds, because technically if an officer wishes to ask for that, they have the ability to do so. So I strongly encourage you to keep just a updated, printout of your current bank statement showing the funds that you have. You may never have to even show it. You may not. The officers may not even ask for it, but it's still worthwhile to have it.
Mark, maybe right. I can add here.
Please.
A funny anecdote. When I was landing in Canada, oh my God, that was so funny. So we came to Calgary Airport, and when you complete your landing process, they give you the table where you have to declare like how much cash you bring, how much in credit cards you bring, and so then you declare your funds, and then you can bring this piece of paper to the bank to show that you paid your levies or duties, whatever, or that you were exempt from paying those. Because as a landed immigrant, you don't have to pay tax on on funds that you bring, right? Other than that, like if you bring more than 15,000, you absolutely have to declare whatever. I'm not going to dive into details here. But
yeah, more than
so
more than 10,000, more than 10,000. But yes,
yeah,
yes. Yep.
Yeah. So the officer is asking me like, okay, so how much money do you have? And I'm like, well, such and such amount. He's like, can you show it to me? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. So I pull up like a huge stack of cash, like, and land it, like I pulled it out from the from the envelope. I put it like on the table, and then the officer is like, no, just take off your cash, because like security cameras look at us, and I just give cash to the officer. And it was like so funny. Everyone was like looking at us, and I'm like, oh my God, how close I was to getting into trouble.
That's hilarious, Igor. I didn't hear that story. That's funny. That's really funny. Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's jump to our next question. This one is from Abhishek. He says, thanks for all your help. Came to Canada 5 years ago as a student. Just got my Canadian passport last month. Couldn't have done it without you since 2017 when you started this YouTube page. Oh yeah. We'll give some applause there. Thanks so much, Abhishek. That really, really means a lot. Okay. Dubé says, hey guys, can IRCC reject a PR application because the company an employee works for uses a Gmail address? What should the employee submit to show that the company indeed uses Gmail as their email? What do you think? What do you think about that one, Igor? What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah. First, okay, couple of thoughts, right? So the first question I would want to ask is, how long ago did they refuse the application? If it was less than 60 days ago, then maybe there is a way to challenge the refusal, because there is nothing that says that if a Gmail address is provided as a company email address, then the officer can rightfully refuse. Second thought is, if the officer, regardless, decided to refuse the application, then it's possible that they did some background check. They tried to verify the employer, and they couldn't. So maybe they sent an email, the email never, they never got a response. Maybe they tried to Google the company, and they couldn't find the company. Maybe they saw the similar email address used for any other application. So there are so many different variables that can be at play here. So my third thought probably, and which is concluding, just the fact that you use the Gmail address, your company used the Gmail address, is not enough for the officer to refuse, typically. And if they decided to refuse, then there was something else. But we did have a couple of clients who submitted reference letters from the companies or from their employers who use Gmail domain for their email addresses. And every time that we submit references like this, we try to provide extra evidence. So we never, almost never, we use just the reference letter. We always provide some extrinsic evidence, like pay stubs, like tax forms, or even if it's a Gmail address, we provide like copies of conversations that would prove that you actually were doing the duties, right? Like where you received tasks from your employer. Anything to show that, yes, the company can use the Gmail address and still do business, and you still can get paid for what you do. So it's hard to tell exactly what has caused the refusal. If it's less than 60 days, you can technically challenge the refusal in federal court. If it's more than 60 days, you have to reapply and then explain the new application that, look, yes, the company used the Gmail address, and this is why. Like, it's a small company. Like, not every company can afford to pay for domain name and can afford to have a Gmail, not a Gmail email address. So if you want to discuss this further, I probably would ask Mark to ring the bell because it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell.
All right. We got a bunch of good questions. We got another super chat here from Nicholas. He says, hi, Mark and Igor. For express entry application, an employment letter must have contact's email or direct phone. I think that's the question. Or the institutional contact number should be enough. So I'll tackle this one. So obviously, whoever's the supervisor or the person that's signing your reference letter, it's good to have their direct contact on there if you can. The reality is, if in the very rare occasion an officer feels like they need to reach out or to contact the employer, they will want to speak to the person who signed the letter. If it's a generic phone or email, and I would encourage you strongly that you include both within that letter, if there's an email or a direct phone, they will send an inquiry to that contact. And if sometimes with larger companies, if it's just a generic email, it may not even get answered if it just goes to the generic inbox. So we always encourage that people have the direct contact for the supervisor or the personnel officer that's signing the reference letter, HR manager, whoever it may be, because they're going to have knowledge and know what they've signed and be able to speak to your exact situation. So that's the only real reason, but there's no hard and fast. Well, I shouldn't say hard and fast because it does ask for that. But if you have a phone, a direct, you don't have a direct number, you just have the main contact number, then just make sure that they know that a call could potentially come at some time and that it's to be directed to the supervisor signing your letter. So that's how I deal with that, Nicholas. Every situation, like Igor said, is a little bit different. And so, but just generically speaking, that's kind of the case.
And Mark, maybe I can also add here, like if we look at express entry completeness check, and Mark, maybe you can also pull it up. The reference letter or experience letter from the employer, and then it provides the bullet point, what it should include, right? So it should include official document printed on the company letterhead, and then it must include the applicant's name, company's contact information. And so it's company's contact information. So direct institutional number may be may meet this requirement, and then you see and telephone number and email address, right?
Yeah.
So it's not telephone number or email address, it's both, phone number and email. And we did have a couple of situations when clients were just about ready to submit a whole application, or they would send us their reference letter before the consult, and they would be like, hey, is this reference letter good enough? Yeah. And then the first thing you do is you go through the completeness check and see if all essential elements are present. And if email address is not present, we never proceed. We always ask to modify the reference letter. If it's not possible, then again, provide extrinsic evidence. Maybe provide a business card of the person who signed the letter, if it's impossible to get an updated one. Not trying to say that if you don't have an email address, just provide them with the business card. That's not going to be a all-in-one solution for everyone. But first, you want to try to make sure that your reference letter meets all essential requirements. And then if it's not possible, then you have to be creative and try to compensate for this missing element in some other way.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I want to point out too within the Express Entry Accelerator, this is the actual course. And so you can see as you go through the modules, 1 is learning the basics, 2 is determining your eligibility, 3 is completing your profile. And as you go down here, 4 is accompanying spouse, submitting your profile, then module 4 is completing the APR. 5 is understanding kind of how the document checklist works and some of the nuances of that. But this module 6 is hands down the most important module within the whole course. And in here, you will see that we have a section that's specifically a lesson on records of employment. And within here, I have a video of instructions, 25 minutes long, explaining how records of employment work. And you can see here how many sample reference letters that we have. These are all letters that have been redacted from past clients that were 100% accepted by IRCC. So you can see how many different ones. But we also have instructions like a record of employment instructions to an employer. So you can give this to an employer so that they know exactly how to create it. We have a simple checklist for you so that you can make sure that your past reference letters meet the requirements. Then we have, what if I can't get a reference letter? And then we also get into specific details on how we structure the selection of our NOC and a whole bunch of things here. So this is all encompassed within just this one lesson, lesson 48 of the course. And, I was talking with Josh yesterday in our AI, and this is one thing that Igor and I are working on is an AI assistant to help with this process to make it even more, more comprehensive. And he said, well, lots of people don't want to sit through a video that's that long. So I'm going to slide over here to myself here, and I'm going to tell you, why the hell not? If this is your life, this is your future, why in the world would you take a shortcut? Why would you just rush through an application because it's going to take maybe a couple extra hours? Man, take a Saturday, sit through the course. And the reality is it's all broken down, you guys, into individual lessons. So if we look at the actual modules themselves, you can see that if certain of these sections don't apply to you, you just skip through them. So it's not like you have to go through all 69 lessons. You pick the ones that apply to you. But the reality is, this is your future. This is your life. And if you are so cavalier or just casual about the process, my goodness, then, well, you deserve to get your application returned because of a little mistake you make that could have been avoided. And Igor and I, we spend an unbelievable amount of time fielding consultations with people who screwed up, who made mistakes. And so this whole course that I created is designed so that you avoid those common problems. And accompanying all of this, if we go back here to the actual instructions here, if you go to the Learn More page, when you click on the link, you will see that accompanying all of these lessons is a masterclass that I do every other week from roughly between 4 to 6, depends on how many questions we have, where you can ask me any specific questions that may not have otherwise been covered in the actual course because they're just specific to you, things that we can't cover here. And when you register for this and when you subscribe to the course, you have access to life. So if the department does a huge wholesale change next year, then there's going to be an Express Entry 2025. And as we build out other tools and resources that are added to it, you get the benefit of this. So I would hold this course up against anything in the world. But if someone says, oh my goodness, there's so many lessons there, there's so much information to go through, my question is, what the hell are you doing? Like literally, why in the world would you not want to take the time to make sure you've got it right, even if it took you a day to go through it? Which, like I said, it's rare anyone would need to go through all 10 hours. If you're single, well, there's like 40% of the lessons that you don't need to go through. So maybe it's only 4 or 5 hours. But this is a comprehensive course that literally walks you through step-by-step how to fill in each section of the Express Entry process. So the description has a link where you can subscribe. And once you've subscribed, you've got access to life for life. You can come to as many master classes as you want. There is nothing in the market like it. But if you're lazy, well, then go hire somebody else who's going to do it all for you, and good luck. There we go. There's my little rant, Igor. I'm just so amazed that people are they're so willing to spend hours and hours looking through YouTube like this, or some website or some WhatsApp group asking questions, when this course literally has everything that you need. And yes, you pay for it, but it's definitely not the same as if you were to hire directly. Now, with that being said, we do a lot of Express Entry applications for people who just want peace of mind. And so they can hire us, and we work collaboratively with you. And you can go to our website and check that out. Okay, let's keep zipping through here. Kirushika, I'm not sure if we can help you with this one, but she says, I have to submit my file on September the 16th, but I will complete 16 hours in 52 weeks on September 13th. But work anniversary date is September 18th. Shall I submit it on the 14th, or should I decline the ITA? So I know what you're getting at, Kirushika, and Igor and I are not going to tell you and answer what to do. We are going to ring this bell and say book a consult, because there are so many factors at play here. In some cases, a person may be able to justify that they have completed all of the work because the last 2 days are like on a weekend. But IRCC says 1 year. It says 1 year. And so in terms of calendar years, let's say you work 40 hours a week, you accumulate 1,560 hours in 4 hours. Like basically, with the 40 hours a week, you accumulated it in say 10 months instead of 12 months. You can't claim that. You can't say, okay, I've hit the 1 year because I've got 1,560 hours in 10 months. It doesn't work that way. They specifically states they don't count more than 30 hours a week. So in your situation, Kirushika, book a consult, because Igor and I are not going to give you that answer. We need to talk, and we need to look at your whole situation and understand the full context. Context is everything. Whether you're reaching out and booking a consult with us immigration lawyers who are looking to give you advice, whether you're typing into ChatGPT, context is everything. And without it, it can significantly change the answer that we would provide. Okay, Rue says, hello, Mark. I worked on a cruise ship. How best can I put in my work location and travel history? I traveled a lot, but never settled in those countries for over a month. Can I put country of origin? So Igor, how would you deal with that? if someone's on a cruise trip traveling all over the world, how would you deal? And this is stuff that we cover in the course, but how would you advise, Rue?
Yeah. So when you think about address history and travel history and you compare those, I always like think of what would be reasonable in the circumstances, right? So would it be reasonable for you to call a hotel where you stayed for 3 weeks as your home? Probably not, right? You don't receive mail, you don't actually see this place as your home. So this time would go in your travel history, and your home actually remains in whatever place you're actually living long term. So think of this as, where is your base throughout the whole time? Is your home still there, like in, let's say, your country of origin? If yes, then that would be the place where you put as an address history. But then if you stayed 2 or 3 weeks there and then 2 or 3 weeks there, and you traveled in between different countries, you would put that in the travel history and write a letter of explanation. A letter of explanation is a key to pretty much every uncertain aspect of your application. You have to explain. You have to explain that, look, I worked on a cruise ship. I didn't live in my home, the actual home, for a very long time, but I always kept that place as my base. And then I've stayed at different locations throughout the whole year or whatever period of time you worked. And then you explain why you put that in the travel history and not in your address history. In terms of your work location, again, there is no right or wrong answer to how to properly answer this question, because your ship is your work location and the ship is traveling around the world. So you cannot put, like, I don't know, let's say break down your work experience, like three weeks of work location, like 3 weeks of work experience with one location and then 3 weeks of work experience with the other location. You would never collect this 1 year of continuous work experience if it was, let's say, for the FSW purposes, right? So you would need to select one location for your work and then explain, saying that, look, I've put this location, but in fact, I was working in different countries. That's why my travel history doesn't match this work location in the work history. So it's a long process trying to explain how it all is done. So the best way for you is either to, again, subscribe to the course, and then you will have at least 25 minutes of just one lesson talking about records of employment, and there's so much more than you would also understand about the whole process in general. So by the end of the course, you will have an idea of how this whole system works, and you can make up your own mind of how you would put it. If you need more direct guidance, you can always reach out to us for consult, and then we can see how else we can help you. I'll leave it at that probably.
All right. Okay. So we've got just a few minutes left, and I want to reiterate that we do not answer questions in the order in which they are received. We don't do that. Mm-hmm. I handpick the questions that I feel are going to be the most benefit to the most viewers who watch it now live, as well as those who watch it as a recording after, which is thousands. And so if you're wondering, why didn't you answer my question? You skipped it. It's because the question was not something that we would normally feel would benefit a lot of people. And other times it's just we run out of time. And so with the rapid fire running out of time, I'm going to go through really quickly as many questions as I can. And let's just start right here with John. So John says, how do I fill out the new, that applicant consent form? I hate that bloody thing. That's a thing. For the healthcare stream, if spouse is non-accompanying. Okay, John, I don't know. Simple as that. I don't have an answer for you. I don't know how to fill that out. So that's something that we haven't come across with yet. And there are gaps. So I do not know the answer to that one. Okay, Anatoly says, hey, Mark and Igor, tuning in from Toronto, about to collect my PR card from the post office. Wishing you a good live stream. Thank you, my friend. Okay, Sleepless says, my son just got a notification of insurance from the ONIP, Human Capital, with a score of 443. Should he apply for PNP to get another 600 points or wait for the next healthcare draw? Last EE draw was 445. He 100% applies to the ONIP. You never ever hope that a draw through express entry is going to come through. If he gets a notification of interest, your son he better bloody well apply through the ONIP. It may be his only opportunity. You just can't rely on the category draws dropping. So that's, yeah. Yes, he's going to. Fatima says, I'm a post-grad work permit holder. How can I apply for a work permit for him? I'm assuming your spouse. How does it work? And can I still apply with the new rules? I'm going to ring the bell. You need to book a consult so we can figure out exactly what the situation is, because there's a ton of different factors associated with this. And some post-grad work permit holders work in a position that is lower wage. That does affect their ability of their spouse to get a post-grad, to get an accompanying spousal C41, or I don't know if they've changed it. So book a consult, Fatima. All right. VK says, FSW inland, what day does the FSW become a PR? You can answer this one, Igor. When the express entry application is approved, or the day when the signed e-COPR is issued to, or the day when the PR card is received in the mail. Thank you. When do they officially become a permanent resident of Canada, Igor?
Simple answer: when they receive the signed e-COPR.
Bingo.
So
applause. That's right. Simple as that. When you get your signed e-COPR. Okay, Shazzy says, Mark and Igor, what steps should be taken if a processing time has reached 6 months and no update regarding biometrics, background checks, biometrics already given April 30th? Igor, this falls into our category here. And so we'll go right here to Mandamus. But okay, fire away, my friend.
Yeah, so another anecdote. I had a client a couple of months ago, and the client reached out to me saying, look, we've submitted the application like 3 months ago and I still didn't get the biometrics request. And I'm freaking out. I'm thinking, oh my God, maybe the file got assigned to a ghost RCC agent that is no longer working in RCC. For those who are long enough in the game, they know what I'm talking about. There was a huge scandal where it turned out that some files were sitting in limbo for years, just because they were assigned to the officer that no longer worked in RCC. So I'm like, oh my God, maybe it's that situation again. Like, who knows? So I'm like, you know what? You can do the ATIP requests and we can take a look, see what's happening, why you didn't get anything. And then I sent that email, and about like 2 weeks later, the client says, you know what? All of a sudden I've got the e-COPR. Not the e-COPR, but the portal invitation.
Yeah.
So it's again, probably not my favorite quote, not my favorite phrase to say, but it's hard to tell again. So each application is getting processed in a different way. It really depends on the officer and the workload of IRCC, and sometimes you will not see any updates for months and months and months, and then all of a sudden everything's going to get updated in one day. Sometimes they would ask you to redo the medical exam. Sometimes they don't. It's really case specific. So just look at the processing times for this type of the application that you've submitted. If it says, let's say, 6 months, then give it another couple of months, plus minus. Maybe on the month number 9, then maybe you can start doing an ATIP request and actually starting ringing the bell, and maybe consider reaching out for help. Maybe there's nothing being done on your file in those 9 months, and that would be unreasonable delay, right? If they actually working, they waiting for the background check, then it just takes time. So hard to tell.
Well, great answer. Igor gave you a long answer for the whippersnapper questions we're trying to get through here. So that's a good answer. Okay, Nash says, do you think CLB 10 plus gives you an advantage over CLB 9 for AOS? Nope, not at all. They don't care. As long as you're above the minimum for AOS currently, won't make a difference. All right, and Alexa in Canada says, if you forgot to mention a 1-month part-time work while studying in your PR application, will IRCC still be able to see if they check your SIN? Okay, Alexa, we never want to omit anything. And this is what we teach in the course over and over and over again. Your job is to answer everything fully, completely, and correctly. In fact, you attest to it. If you guys take the time to read the little attestations when you're completing your express entry profile, it says your test that everything is true, complete, and correct, right? And if it isn't, then it opens up the possibility for an officer to question other information that you're putting in. So does an officer go hunt down social insurance numbers to see all of the payroll that's been remitted for that social insurance number and then match that up against your work history or what you put in your personal history? Well, they probably don't do that. But the reality is artificial intelligence, how they use it within the processing, they don't disclose freaking nothing about it, anything about it. And so we don't know to what extent they're using it to scrub through their whole system to see if you have other, touch points within the various government departments that they can cross-reference and catch you in an omission. And an omission can be a misrepresentation. So usually what I do, Alexa, is if you miss something, your application's in the queue, then I'll just submit a web form and say, hey, please note I forgot about this part-time work. It's only in my personal history, but I want it to be complete and correct, so I'm updating my file. And that is how we work with our clients. That's how I teach people in our courses. And really, that's what we do here at Holthe Immigration Law. All right, so with all of that being said, we have come to the end of our live stream today. We'll be back again next Wednesday. Make sure that you go check out all our other resources. I'm going to point you guys back to the YouTube channel. If you haven't had a chance to watch the impact of AI on immigration, that's a cool one. But we've got a lot of different things. Igor's got refused immigration applications. There's just a whole bunch of videos that we've done, even recently. The real cost of immigration with Alicia and myself. We covered that. Igor's did one, Express Entry Explained in 5 minutes. There's just a ton of different, the dangers of crowdsourcing. So if you haven't done that, go check that out. I also want to put you back onto our website because we have got our blog. And in our blog, we have a ton of other content that sometimes makes it into video, sometimes doesn't, but on a variety of different topics. And of course, we also have our podcast, which is constantly having new episodes released. I just released one just yesterday, and on the lengthy delays in security screening. That one I did with, I think it was Will Tao. I did that live, so you can listen to it. If you don't have time to watch it on YouTube, you can just go and subscribe to the podcast and listen to it. We have the real cost of immigration, crowdsourcing. So we've got equivalents. You can watch them on both platforms. Sometimes when we do something live, it's going to be very similar to the podcast. And other times we record specific, like this one, the PNP Battle for PR, Alicia and I. Like sometimes when we do these, the podcast can be a little bit different. It just depends on the circumstances and how we release it. But please check out all of these other resources. These are all here for you. Igor mentioned at the beginning, for those of you who are new and just wondering about Canada and what the options are and what this express entry is all about, you can go and we have a link in. I didn't see the link posted. You posted it in the on the page, did you? I didn't see it show up in my comments, but we'll make sure that we post it in the comments. The link where you can register for this webinar that's going to happen on, let's jump down here, on July the 30th. So basically 6 days from now at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And when you register, you'll get the link, and we collect this information so we know who you are, what stage of the process you're at, and then which bucket to put you in. Because like I said, we do a lot of assistance for immigration consultants as well. Okay, then the Express Entry Accelerator. Those of you who maybe got an ITA in the most recent round of invitation, you would be stupid not to subscribe to this course and to go through the lessons that apply to you and join me in the master classes as many times as you need over the next 2 months as you're preparing to submit your EAPR. So absolutely get in there, access this course. And I was going to do one this afternoon, but because I'm heading out south to get my boys down in Idaho from school, we're going to push it off till next week. But all of these resources are here. That's why we do what we do. Super excited to have Igor as a part of our immigration lawyer team. And we're just, happy to be here to serve you guys. That's why we do what we do. All right, Igor, any parting words for the crew here before we sign off?
No, just wishing everyone the best and hoping for lower scores so that more people can get their ITAs.
Absolutely.
So best of luck, everyone.
All right, guys. Well, we'll sign off with the little tunes. Thanks so much, and take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. See you next week.